something they've been doing for quite a while now, but to do so, we're going to have to take a closer look at industrialization because it is key to sustainable growth. But Africa's industrialization has been slow and has even gone into reverse in some places. Now, the African Union is pushing for countries to have another go at industrializing the continent.
Bananas bound for export. This cooperative in Guinea grows them, harvests them and sends them off to meet a growing global demand. Agriculture and food production are on the rise on the African continent, but industrialization is not doing nearly as well. Infrastructure investment was supposed to help the process, along with better education, and in recent years efforts were made to open up African economies to attract foreign investors. Germany's Heidelberg Cement jumped at the chance and did well out of it. In Africa for decades, it expanded its operations in 2014, building this clinker plant in Togo. The company says production has been smooth and is rising steadily. But there's been no general industrial breakthrough. Even Africa's largest economy, Nigeria, is still dependent on oil and gas production. And corruption and potential security issues combine to prevent sustainable industries from getting off the ground.
Well, earlier today, DW's Christian Uhlig spoke to Professor Robert Kappel from the German Institute of Global and Area Studies on the very question of further industrialization on the African continent. Here's what he had to say.
Professor Kappel, industrialization faces many obstacles in Africa. What are the chances now for success?
Industrial development in Africa has had growth rates during the last 10 years of about 3 to 4%. That's higher than the world average. That means that African industries are getting more competitive, and there might be a success story in Africa for Africa's industrialization. But there are many obstacles. For instance, trade costs are very high. The access to electricity, to transport is complicated. Port costs are high. And the level of competence of the enterprises and the workers are very low, and productivity is also very low. So there are many obstacles, but there are also success stories of industrialization in Africa.
What chances do African products have in general on the global market?
There are many chances, and some countries show that you can use the world market for industrial production. For instance, leather industry, shoe production in Ethiopia, car production in South Africa, and many other countries have other products, for instance, flower industry, horticulture industry, where countries have been very successful in the world market and also in the regional market. That could be a basis for a further industrialization in Africa, based on the one side on agriculture and on the other side on raw materials.
What about the two biggest economies, Nigeria, South Africa? How are they doing?
South Africa is a leading industrial country in Africa. It's the most advanced country in Africa and has a huge industrial sector. Car production, wine production, metal production, and many other industries, also media, very strong in media. Nigeria has always focused on raw materials, oil and gas production, and has neglected industrial development. But they are starting now, and there's a huge market in Nigeria. The income of the people is very high, and many enterprises starting now new industrial plants, for instance, in special economic zones, integrating in global value chains, and also using the agriculture for industrial production, food production.
Professor Kappel, thank you very much for sharing your insights.
Thank you.